Hi folks, how's it going? Welcome back. I'm Reba. This is my channel, Musing with Reba. Another question that I got on the trail a lot was, what's musing mean? Well, it means thinking, and muse means inspiration. So as I said in more than one of my trail videos, whether it was Frontenac or QE2 or any of the hiking or even just a day walk video, one of my goals is to be an inspiration to people to just get out there and spend some time in nature, whether it's a day hike or, to go out and do something crazy like a 2-week solo trip in a provincial park. I just want people to know that you don't have to be a particular type of person. You don't need to be particularly in good shape. You just need to be able to put one foot in front of the other. And that's really all that it is. I'm over 50 years old. I have arthritis in my spine. I have autoimmune diseases. But I still get out there because it's healthy to get out there even if you are already sick. It's good for you to get outside. It's good to get out and go for a walk. Keep the joints moving, keep the body moving, spend some time in nature. It'll do you really a lot of good. So let's talk about this crazy trip. Day one, I went from the office parking lot to site number 1, and my total kilometers for that day was 14.93. We'll just call it 15. And I did it in about 5 hours. The Friends of Frontenac website, which I'll show you a clip here. The Friends of Frontenac website has a menu on their campsite information that you can just scroll through, and it'll tell you how long it takes to hike from the office parking, from Big Salmon parking, and in some cases the Kingsford Dam parking. And it'll also give you paddle times, which I have no idea because I don't paddle. So if you want information about paddling around Frontenac, find somebody else's channel because that's not me. I hike. I'm not sure. I'll try and find somebody who maybe has posted some canoeing around Frontenac. So on day 2, I went from site number 1 and then I went around the Small Slide Lake Loop, and that was a total of 11.78. So almost 12 kilometers, and that one took me about 6 hours because it's a very tricky trail. Plus it was raining for most of the day, so the rocks were slick. I fell down a couple of times, took some skin off my knee and I think on my hand, which, no big deal. I wasn't actually hurt. I just took some skin off, and there's lots of that there, so no problem. From the office, they figure that one, I didn't write that down. I think it's 2 hours from site number 2 to the office. So on day 3, when I did my resupply, it was about 2 hours from site number 2, and part of that you would have seen Emily and Owen on my video. And then from the office, after I did my resupply, about 2.5 hours to site number 3. Also, while I was doing my resupply, I plugged in my phone and my Nitecore to recharge those some, just to give them a top up while I was there. There's a plug outside on the building that you can plug in there. On day 4, so going from site number 3 to site number 4, it was about 3 hours and 9 kilometers. When I arrived at site number 4, I met Ellie and Maudie Dew. Just wonderful, wonderful person and a lovely little dog. Site number 4 is extremely windy, and Ellie says it's like that a lot. She paddles in and she likes site number 4, but it's just very, very windy. Day number 5, going from site 4 to 5. I called that one a Nero because it was only 5 kilometers, which is, for me, is a 1 hour hike. It was a pretty easy hike. Site number 5, no wind at all compared to site number 4. Lovely flat sandy beach and shallow warm water on Big Salmon Lake. I love that spot. If you're going with a group of friends, book sites 5A and B. It's only a 2-site cluster. It's a beautiful group camping site. Lovely beach for swimming, and it did have one of the smelliest privies though. I think the smelliest privy was site number 1, very closely followed by site number 5. Day 6, so going from site 5 to site 6, was 6.68 kilometers. 6A, where I stayed, super secluded. You can't see any other people, though I could hear the people at site 6B. It is really far away from the privy, and it's quite a hike in from the main trail, but it's very, very pretty. And I did like site number 6. Day 7, need a cup of tea. Day 7, I hiked back to the office and it was raining all day, so that was not a very nice day at all. From site number 6 to the office was about 9.35 kilometers. So that took me about 3 hours. I was booking it because I was just really miserable in the rain. And I wanted to make sure to meet my friend Maisel on time. I hate being late. I was even born early. That's how much I hate being late. So then from the office to site number 7 was about 2.5 hours and almost another 9 kilometers. It was 8.9 kilometers. So total for day 7 was 18.26, although we did get turned around a bit going from the office to site number 7, so we probably had like an extra kilometer in there. Site number 7A flooded on us, the tent pad. It's a dirt tent pad. I believe site 7B also got flooded. There was a guy there that we spoke to in the morning, and it was just an absolutely miserable night. And the site 7A is on the list to be upgraded to a wooden tent pad. Personally, I'm not sure I call that an upgrade, but it needs to be done because there is so much erosion on a lot of the tent sites. So if it's a nice site, except for the flooding. So if it's a dry day that you're planning to be there, then okay. Or if it's under 3 feet of snow, then okay. Otherwise, wait until they've built the tent pad for that site. Day number 8, I ended up hiking back to the office. It wasn't planned, but because the replacement Thermarest had completely failed on me, and I had called the Frontenac Outfitters, and this is where Eric came to my rescue and loaned me his. So I had to go. We hiked back to the office. Maisel drove me to the Frontenac Outfitters to pick up Eric's sleeping mat, and then drove me to the Kingsford Dam parking when I hiked to site number 8. So the hike out from site 7 and then hike into site 8 was a total of 12.71 kilometers. So from Kingsford Dam to site number 8 is about a 2-hour hike, and it was a pretty easy hike. I've done that one a couple of times now. From the office, it's about a 4 or 5 hour hike though. If you move the car on day 8 and move it up to Kingsford Dam, then you can do a resupply on day 8 and then go do 8, 9, and 10, and then on day 11, when you're going to site number 11, so from site 10 to 11, or on the morning of day 12, you can do a resupply again from Kingsford Dam parking lot, because it's only 15 minutes out from the site 11 cluster to the Kingsford Dam parking. Again, this is where if you have a car and you've moved your car from Big Salmon to Kingsford Dam, I would have a change of clothes on day 8 and resupply for day 8. Oh, and if you're putting clothes in your car that you've been getting all smelly for a week, put them in something airtight in the trunk. Otherwise, you're going to come back and your car is just going to stink. Day 9, so going from site 8 to site 9, is only not quite 6 kilometers, 5.97, and about an hour and a half. I do have quite a fast pace, so I can do about 5 kilometers in an hour. So I called this one, it's another Nero, and then I went and did the Little Clear Lake Loop just for a day hike. And that was another 7.98 or 8 kilometers. Day 10 was 2.99 kilometers. We'll just call it 3. Plus I did another day hike around the Hemlock Lake Loop. And that was, so total hiking for the day was about 3.5 or 4 hours. Day 11, 9.67 kilometers, 3 hours and 45 minutes. Again, if you've moved your car from Big Salmon to Kingsford Dam, you can do resupply on day 11 or morning of day 12, because the parking lot is only a 15-minute hike out from the 11 cluster. When I was at site 11, again, I was at 11A, so it's up a hill and really far away from the privy and really far away from the beach, but the beach is a beautiful sandy beach, shallow, warm water. So then you have to go down the hill to collect water. Overnight, I heard some wolves on that section, and in the morning was awakened by a rooster. Day 12, so from 11 to site 12, 6.97 kilometers, 2 hours and 20 minutes. I carried extra water from site 11 because I was told that the water at cluster 12 is not recommended to try and put through your filter, because the lake is full of leeches. So your filter will just get clogged up with leeches, and that's not good, because how do you get leeches out of your filter? So I carried water from site 11 to site number 12. If you watch that bit in my video, it was a struggle because my pack was still kind of heavy and adding the extra weight with the water, but I could have just got water at Tetzmine Lake, which someone told me when I was pretty much more than halfway to site number 12. So if you're going to do this trip from site 11 to site number 12, don't carry water from site 11. Stop along the way. Tetzmine Lake is about 15 minutes away from cluster number 12, and you can stop and get water there, or just go back after you've set up camp, and just go back and get some water there. Site number 12, although the water is chunky, is just stunningly gorgeous. And I think because all the leeches that are in the water, there were more birds on this lake than any other lake that I had seen the entire 2 weeks that I was there. It was just beautiful. Day 13, last full day. 6.9 kilometers from site number 12 to 13. 7 kilometers, 2 hours, 45 minutes, including a half-hour stop for lunch. It was a beautiful day. So I just stopped and, took some time to smell the roses. Well, flowers. I found it difficult to find the site 13A markers. I couldn't see them, so I just kind of picked my way until I found it. And then when I was on my way out the following day, I found a tiny little piece of blaze tape on a tree that's about that big. So if there were other signs, I didn't see them, but that was the only marker I could find that took me up to site 13A, and I found it on my way out. It's kind of uphill to the privy, and trying to pick your way is a little bit difficult. Site 13 is also the most eroded of all of them for some reason, and it's just full of tripping hazards. There's tree roots and rocks sticking out of the ground everywhere, and I hit every single one of them, of course, because one of my toes was purple because I had dropped a tree on it the day before. The tent pad is also lumpy, so it was tricky trying to put my tent in a spot where I wasn't going to end up with a tree root or a rock puncturing my sleeping mat. And it's also on a downslope on 3 sides. So had it rained on me that night, I'm pretty sure that tent pad would have been a swamp as well. Luckily, it didn't rain. But inexplicably, some resident on the other side of the lake has a duck sounds playing on a loop all night long. So I got no sleep that night. Day 14, my last day, and I have to rush out to the parking to meet my sister. It was a beautiful day, beautiful sunshiny day. The forecast had been for rain the whole time that I was there. I kept checking the forecast for my last day out, and it kept saying that it was going to rain, and it didn't rain. The sun actually did come out for a little while. Total kilometers for day 14 was 18.97. So again, we're just going to call that 19. But I did include a side trail out to the lookout because why not? I think that took me probably an hour, like just hiking, like 15 minutes in and then 15 minutes out, but then I hung out there for about half an hour. So that added an hour to my travel and a couple of kilometers. I'm not sure exactly how much it was. So it really is worth it. The lookout, which is the highest point, I can't remember what it's called now, the highest point in the park, it's if you live in the mountains or if you've hiked in the mountains, it's nothing, but you can just see forever because it's the highest point for miles and miles and miles, or kilometers and kilometers and kilometers, which kind of hurts the jaw. So I would suggest, if you are going to do this trip, do it because it is well worth the trip. Comment below if you have any questions. Let me know. I am happy to help out for anybody who is interested in doing this sort of trip in Frontenac Park. It's the only trip of this length that I have ever done. So I was still learning kind of while I was out there, and still learning now of how to work out the logistics and everything. But most important, I would say, definitely get a map of the proper map, not just the flimsy paper thing that you get in the magazine at the office. Get the map from the Friends of Frontenac shop on their website. This is a water resistant one. You can get a paper one. Given how much rain I had, I would say get the water resistant one. It's $25, $12 for the paper. They have, of course, added the 3 solo sites, 14, 15, and 16. I have got back to site number 14, but I won't be going back to do 15 and 16. Certainly not this year, because the year is, I've only got 3 days left of the year, plus I've got my dog now, and she's a rescue. She's still decompressing from a very long journey, and we're getting to know each other. So my original goal when I made the plans for this trip was to do the 13 sites. The 14, 15, and 16 were announced and opened after I made the plans and after I made the reservations. So my initial goal of doing all 13 sites in numerical order, I completed that goal, and I am very, very, very proud of myself for doing that. So doing 14, 15, and 16 was not part of the goal, and I'm not too worried about it to go back in and do those sites. It would be nice if I had been able to do that, but for timing and pandemic and stuff like that, I don't have a car, I don't have access to a car, and friends who have cars were unable to go. So I was not able to finish the last 3, and I'm not too worried about that. What else was there? On site number 14, when I was there, I'll put a link to that video in the description. The tent pad in late fall, there's no insulation, so the wind was coming up underneath. There's no way to stop that, and it just sucked all the warmth out of the tent and out of my sleeping mat. I would only suggest to go on wooden tent pads in warmer weather, or in winter when you can insulate your tent with snow and block out the wind. Otherwise, on a cold, windy night, you're gonna get cold, because I sure did. So that is pretty much it. Again, if you have any questions, please post them below in the comment section. Hit that like button, subscribe, and it really does help that algorithm thingy. It lets other people know that these videos are kind of cool, and if you hit that like button, then people who have similar tastes as you, they'll see my video pop up on their recommends list. So I hope you all had a very happy and healthy Christmas, and I hope that you have a happy and healthy new year, and that despite the odds, I hope you are able to stay away from this latest Omicron variant, because it sounds like none of us are going to get away from it. Yeah. Anyway, Happy New Year.